Coming in from
Vancouver, Canada.
Vancouver, Canada. How is it cold there? Like to have a bit of weather.
I would imagine it's probably not very much different. Based on what I just heard you say, I think we're pretty much in the same place. Vancouver gets kind of cold and dreary, and not snow cold, but just, kind of around 0 centigrade and just kind of gray and miserable,
So for anyone listening in, NathenAswell, you are an amazing New Thought posse singer songwriter. So that means that all of your songs have a message of love, of positivity, of knowing that there is something greater that we can all place our faith in and our hearts in to live a fulfilled life. And you write and sing these songs, well, globally, really. Well, you travel a little with them, but you're mainly based in Canada. And I've been playing your songs for the last couple of years, and you've come on the show a few times, haven't you?
I have, and I've enjoyed it every time. And as I say to you in every one of your Facebook posts, I'm so grateful to you, as are many of the people that write the kind of music that you and I both write, that you are giving us a place to share our gift with the world. We're very, very grateful to you. So thank you yet again for that.
Well, it's in my heart, and I love being here on the radio show, and I love promoting positive music and a positive energy. So it's perfect that you're here. And you have been traveling, haven't you?
I have indeed. I just came back from walking the Camino de Santiago.
So for the listeners, for any listeners that may not really realize what that is, what is it?
Right. The Camino de Santiago is a pilgrimage route. There are actually 12, but the one that is most known and most traveled is called the French Camino. And it starts from just inside the French border in a small town called Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port, which literally translates as St. John at the foot of the bridge. And on the very first day, you cross from France into Spain by going through the Pyrenees Mountains. And then you're walking the rest of the route west across Spain. And the entire route is about 780 kilometers.
780 kilometers. Oh my word! Not in one day, surely.
Not in one day. No. And I think that's the reason why I'm discovering, and I certainly felt this way myself before I left, how daunting that is for people. They just can't wrap their brains around the idea of traveling that far. And of course, like every journey, I certainly never woke up going, wow, 790 kilometers. Today it was, okay, I'm walking 20, I'm walking 25, I'm walking 30. Right. And then over time, you complete your journey, one step at a time. So
it's that thing of breaking it down, isn't it? And not looking at the whole picture and being completely, overwhelmed by the whole thing. Just knowing you can break it down piece by piece and one day at a time, one step at a time.
Yeah. And as I've said for years, one of my big phrases is little by little, which is also the name of my first CD, as you know. And we're just not designed to absorb a lot at once. It's overwhelming. The only way we really learn anything is one small piece at a time, And the trip was a perfect metaphor for that. The journey was exactly like that.
Incredible. And was that a learning for you personally in your personal life?
Well, the best thing I can say is, I say this with love for myself. I have a bit of a thick skull. And what I mean by that is, and perhaps a lot of people can relate to this, I'm a creature of habit. And I spend too much time in my head, I know that. And I know that the happiest moments in my life are when I'm in my body. When I'm listening and tapping into the wisdom of the body is when my life makes the most sense. And so there were a number of lessons that I learned in the Camino, which I knew on an intellectual level. But to learn them on a physical level was an entirely different process. A much richer one, and in my case, in some instances, a much more painful one, but a necessary one, because now it's very clear to me the lesson has landed for me in a much richer way than it ever could have before.
Okay. Wow. And but you knew you had to do that walk for that lesson and for your own experience. That's why you did it.
I made the decision. Well, it's been on my mind for a couple of years. As with many North Americans, I saw the movie The Way, which starred Martin Sheen and his son Emilio Estevez.
I saw that.
In a nutshell, for those who haven't seen it, it's a story of Martin Sheen playing Emilio's father, Emilio's character's father. And Emilio loses his life as he crosses over the Pyrenees on that first day. And his father, in loving tribute to his son, decides to walk the Camino in his son's memory and spread his ashes along the way. And so we, the viewers, get a chance to experience the Camino through the father's eyes. And so that definitely planted a seed in me and, went on the infamous bucket list. And then last April, I was visiting my mom, and she loves to watch movies. And we watched Castaway, which is a movie that was done with Tom Hanks around 2000, I believe. In a nutshell, it's a story about a FedEx exec who literally gets marooned on a desert island for 4 years, gets completely disconnected from his life, comes back, his wife has moved on, married, had a child with another man. And it's a very sobering experience. He learns a lot, of course, on his own in that 4 years, but then comes back to discover that life has moved on. And yet it's not a sad movie. It's very much about a rebirth and a reevaluation. Mm-hmm. And the best thing I can tell you is after I watched that movie again, I thought, it just really hit home. And again, how many times have we heard this? The only time we have is now.
Is now.
So what on earth am I waiting for? It's got to happen now. So I thought, okay. As you said in one of your promos, I had a big birthday in September. I turned 60, which is just beyond my comprehension. But I thought, okay, that will be my birthday present to myself. I will walk the Camino. So I left on my birthday, and I returned on October 17th. So
incredible! I love it. I love hearing of, when people do things and it's really meaningful and it's life-changing, because I think something like that definitely is life-changing, isn't it? On different levels, to awaken us to, first of all, perseverance, because I think, amazing that you did that and walked that journey.
Well, I wanted to add one more thing, Laura, because I think it's important to say, I've heard the expression, the call of the Camino, answering the call of the Camino. And after I made the decision in April, I just digested everything I could possibly get my hands on, books, videos, etc. And it was very interesting, especially when I was watching videos. There's a lot on YouTube, other people sharing their journeys, their packing lists, all kinds of do's and don'ts. And many times I would be watching something, and for no logical reason, I would just start crying at something as I was watching it. It wasn't because of something the person necessarily said or some particular image I saw, just some emotion would well up and out of me. And I thought, okay, I accepted that as the call. I thought, okay, something is pulling me into this. And so, yeah, I'm glad that I have made the time to answer that.
That's
made the space to
amazing.
answer that.
You opened your heart and listened. That's the thing. And I think, being on this show and that question that I always ask at the end, if you were, well, I'll ask it at the end for you, but it's that thing of just taking action and not thinking, I'll do it tomorrow, but actually doing it.
Yeah.
And you did. Because how many people walk the Camino Way? It is a popular walk, isn't it?
It's a popular walk. I can't remember off the top of my head. I would think, if memory serves, it's something like annually hundreds of thousands. I mean, many people. It literally fell into. It is as popular now as it was in the Middle Ages, and then slowly over the centuries, it kind of, lost interest, whatever. And then thanks to the efforts of a few people starting in the 70s, I believe, it kind of came back into awareness. And then things like the movie that we just mentioned, Shirley MacLaine wrote a wonderful book, as did a German comedian named Hans-Peter Gerkling. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that quite rightly, but his book has been translated into many languages. And I met several German people on the Camino, and all of them told me that the reason why they were walking is because they read that book.
Oh, wow.
Right.
The power of a book.
Exactly. So it's interesting how it's kind of come back into public consciousness in a big way in the last few decades, and now it's extremely popular. I made a point of not going in the summertime. July and August, of course, is the busiest time. It's also the hottest time. So there's no way that I would go at that time. It's also a very busy time for me musically, so it would make sense for me to go then. So, I made the decision to go in September because my birthday, and I've been to Europe a few times, and it's always been in September. And I love, being in Europe in September. Just it's
Yeah.
not as warm. The crowds are kind of back into their normal routine, school year, and all that stuff.
School's back. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just feels perfect. So.
Oh wow! I could talk to you for hours about this and your whole experience and what you went through. But I'm just one thing before we play this song, because I know you would like to play Psalm
96.
96, which you wrote, which is on your album Little by Little. There's just one thing I'd like to know, because the walk culminates at the last day of the walk. You must have felt completely a sensation of overwhelm, or just complete joy that you completed this whole thing, or was it an anticlimax, and it's not the end of the journey? Actually, it's the journey itself.
I did not feel what I thought I would feel, and so that's one of the things we'll talk about afterwards. But this whole idea, a big theme for me in the last year or so of my life has been intention and expectation.
Yeah.
So I became even more aware on the trip of some big expectations that I had that, of course, didn't happen. And what happens when our expectations are met? We're disappointed, right? So
disappointed, yes.
It's an opportunity to take a look at that, and So I have much more to say about that. But before we get into the song, I need to explain why we need to play it. So very briefly, let me just say,
yes,
the four things that were the absolute best aspects of the trip were the people that I met, just met some amazing people, the countryside, just to walk through, especially the parts of Spain that were the small towns and the open countryside. I mean, that sensation of walking along a road which suddenly becomes paved, which is suddenly the main street of a town, and then a half a kilometer away, I'm back into another field again. And to have that go on for day after day was just the sweetness of that and the simplicity of that. It was just, I laughed out loud with joy many, many times. I got a chance to make some music on about a dozen occasions. Most of those were sing-alongs. I brought a small instrument. I have it here. It's called, believe it or not, a guitar lele. It's the same size as a ukulele, but it's got 6 strings like a guitar. And with the nudging of several close friends, including Harold Payne, I went and got myself one, and he didn't know about that. He just said, "You're not going to walk the Camino without an instrument, are you?" So I got this, and it was great. It served me very well. But to get to the point of why I want you to play this particular song, before I left, I had a GoFundMe campaign to just see if people would be kind enough to support me in my journey. And in the message I sent, I said, "And if there's anything I can do for you as I walk, please tell me if you have any requests. I would love to honor them for you as I walk." And one of the first people to respond is a good friend of mine, and she wanted me to sing Psalm 96 in one of the churches on the way.
Oh, right.
So to explain this, Psalm 96, when people hear it, they'll understand it. It's a piece of music that I wrote that was inspired by a place that's very meaningful to me in Quebec, which is where I come from, in Montreal. And there was a place about an hour outside of Montreal where this song, I was inspired by nature, and Psalm 96 is all about praise for nature and praise to God for nature. And so in tribute to that space, this piece is me singing with a long reverb and lots of delays, and it's me trying to emulate the sound of my voice echoing back off of mountainsides. Somebody that I met at one point said, "It sounds like I'm singing in the Alps." I've yet to sing in the Alps, but I look forward to singing this in the Alps one day. So this woman said, "Go into a church and sing that song for me." So I found an amazing church, was just blown away by the sound of the church. And I did sing it in that church for her. And then I sat I came back after dinner that night, and for an hour sat and played probably a bunch of songs that you play on your show, songs that I've written, songs by Harold and Karen Drucker, and, a number of different people, as well as some of my own chants. And the door to the church was open, and people would come in quietly and sit behind me and just listen. And so they were with me for about an hour. So for days later, as I walked on the trail, people were coming up to me and thanking me for having created this moment of this hour of sacred sound for them.
Yeah.
So it was very, very sweet. Definitely one of the highlights of the trip. So anyway, that's what the significance is of that particular piece of music. And it's long, so I don't know if you want to play it all, but.
Right. Well, what we'll do is we'll play maybe half of it, and so we
Okay.
can get the vibe. And anybody that's listening now, because I know you're listening wherever you are in the world, whether you're local on 103.8 FM or tuning in on the Radio Player app to Burgess Hill Radio. This is NathenAswell, who is calling in all the way from Canada, and his website, nathenaswell.com.
Yep.
Yes, and it's NATHEN.
Yes.
As well, with two L's. So you can find all of Nathen's music on the website, including this track, which I'm going to play now, which is Psalm 96. What is new for you coming back from this? How have you come back refreshed with your work? Because you're still performing, aren't you? You
very much so.
I see that you're in a new group, and you that looks really great fun. The group that you're in. What's it called?
I'm in several groups, but the one you're referring to is called the Rhythm and Blues All Stars, and it's actually a Vancouver institution. It's actually been together for 40 years. And so there have been many, many personnel changes, and I just joined the group in springtime, I guess. And they tend to work more in the summer, and it was my last performance before I left the Camino with them. And I just did 3 sold-out shows with them just this last weekend, and I can't begin to describe to you how much fun it is to be. It's a 10-piece rhythm and blues band, and I just sing. I don't play anything. I just sing.
Wow.
So I accepted that invitation because I co-front the band, I should say, with a dear, dear friend of mine, Joni Bai. She's a fantastic rhythm and blues singer.
Yeah.
And so I'm just singing, and she and I performed together for almost 10 years in an a cappella quartet. So that's how
wonderful. So you know her. So please, if you have any tracks, MP3s, and you like me, I'd love to play them. If you want to send them in,
it's all cover stuff. It's all cover stuff. But yeah, I just got a board mix. It hasn't been separated into separate songs though. It's an hour and a half long. So.
Oh, okay, right. An hour and a half, that would take up most of the show. But
yeah.
I could dip in and out.
But anyway, maybe I can figure something out or give it to you, and you can just find the parts of it that you like. But I was also sent a video link of it all, so I'm really looking forward to watching the whole thing.
Oh, amazing! So life is expanding since your walk, and musically.
Just before I get into what kind of what I came back with, there was one other thing I wanted to share with in terms of the highlight of the walk. There was the music making, the countryside, the people that I met. But what was one of the sweetest things was the sense of freedom that I felt every day at putting everything on my back and walking out into the day with a completely clean slate. No idea who I'm going to meet, where I'm going to go, what I'm going to eat, where I'm going to sleep. And being completely fine and content with that, knowing that everything would unfold exactly as it should, which it did.
Yes, amazing.
And just feeling the joy of that, the joy of the simplicity.
So good.
Of that,
Wow. So tell me now, because we have a few minutes left before we have to get on with the rest of the Sunny Side Up. Okay. You said you mentioned something about writing.
Well, so the biggest lesson of the trip was, as most people, I carried too much. So literally the lesson that I'm carrying over into my life, the big metaphor is, how can I lighten my load? What can I release? What can I let go of? So that my life looks and feels more simple, more free, like a day on the Camino.
Yes.
And to help me process all that and to really deepen my commitment to that and to help others, I do want to write a book about the entire experience.
Oh, that is so good.
My hope will be that I will have something by springtime or summer. We'll see what unfolds, but that's my desire. And on top of that, just something I was thinking about before I connected with you today, I think what I'm going to do with some degree of regularity, monthly, I don't know, is have some Facebook Live events where I just answer questions for people. Because what became clear to me on the Facebook posts was people really want to do this, and there's a lot of fear. It feels very overwhelming for people.
Yeah.
And I completely get it. I felt all of those things. And you get there, and there's an expression that you hear many times in the Camino. The Camino provides. It absolutely does. Every one of my fears just fell away.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. So so for anyone listening now, they could reach out to you maybe if they're having a thought of doing this. They could reach out to you through your website. And
I'll put it on the website, and I'll also mention it on my Facebook page when I'll do it. But I'll put.
What's your Facebook page name for anybody listening?
Small Steps, Big Life.
Perfect.
Small steps, big life with
big
Nathen
life.
Aswell.
Good name for a book.
Could be. Could very well be. Could very well be, Laura. Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, Nathen, it's so great to connect with you again. And please come back on the show when,
absolutely,
at any time. And when you have the first draft of your book, that would be great. Okay. You can read some out.
Oh, fantastic.
That would be really exciting. Okay. So thank you, Nathen, as well. And just so beautiful to connect with your energy and hear your stories and to know that, yes, my one question for someone, I always ask this question, if there's someone listening who feels that they want to do something in their life, just like you've done, and you really did take that opportunity and go for it. And for that person, if you're listening and you might feel a bit stuck or unsure or fearful, Nathen, what would you say to that person right now?
Email me.
I love it.
I'm serious. I'm very committed to. I may have shared this with you at some point in the past, Laura. One of my big expressions is, it's not about me, it's about we. Everything that I do is about inclusion. So when I do my concerts, anything, I'm always trying to include people. It's not me and audience. It's not, okay, you sit and listen to me and adore everything I'm doing. No. I sing at my concerts, I sing one song and then I say, we are never going to be together again in exactly this way. I have some stories and songs to share. I hope you have some things to share with me too. It's a dance. Let's dance together. So, and I feel that way about the Camino too. I had an experience. I'm eager to have other people have the experience. I'm toying with the idea of somehow figuring out a way to lead groups over there.
Right.
So yeah, I'm serious.
I
would be very happy
beautiful.
to encourage anybody in any way that I can to have this experience. So yeah, I would welcome any and all inquiries, questions. Nathen Aswell, my email address is nathenaswell@me.com.
nathenaswell@me.com.
Yep.
Brilliant. Thank you, Nathen, for being here.
You're welcome, Laura. My great pleasure. Always great to be with you, love.
Bye.
Bye. See you again.